herself. "I'll mind the bairns, love," she had said. "You do as you like. Duncan has taken Chuff and 2 of the men across the loch to Sheehan Towers to be sure that all is well there. So I shall ask cook to prepare a picnic for the children and me. We'll walk up to the top of the hill behind the castle, where it should stay sunny and warm all day. Later, if you decide to seek company, you can find us there." Enjoying her solitude, Penelope had walked to the Narrows at the northeast end of the loch and crossed to the western shore, to wander through the woods above Sheehan in search of her ghost. Now, mission accomplished, she turned with a light heart back to Dunraven, noting changes in the landscape that had escaped her notice before. Already, the leaves of primroses and wood sorrel were pushing up through the newest layer of the thick leaf-mould carpet, searching for air and sunshine. Spurge, with its large leathery leaves, bronzed and purple, showed new curved roots, so she knew that in a month the woods would be full of yellow spurge saucers with their strangely shaped little flowers inside. Fresh nettles and dock leaves that the snow had squashed flat to the earth stretched upward again, and violets that had borne their old leaves through the winter were unfolding new ones. Looking into their hearts, she could see new flowers budding. Patches of sunlight revealed lesser celandine coming into leaf, and, nearer the burn, greater celandine also, its stalks already charged with the deep yellow juice that Mary would collect for her eye wash. Its roots were good for other remedies too, Penelope knew. Emerging from the woods near the Narrows, she enjoyed a view straight down the long arm of the loch. As she knew from a map of the Highlands on the wall in the Earl's bookroom at Balcarden, Loch Crerran had the shape of a large check mark, with its long arm running about 6 miles northeast to southwest, and its short arm running about 2 miles southeast to northwest. The long arm was pinched about 1/3 of the way down, at that point known, logically enough, as the Narrows, where it was possible for a careful pedestrian to cross from bank to bank. The loch's source was a snow-fed burn that flowed swiftly down through Glen Crerran, and at its outlet water spilled past the little island of Eriska into the Linn of Lorne, near its confluence with Loch Linnhe. Sheehan Towers, her brother's estate, sat on the point of land that formed the angle of the check and included everything north of the castle to the Strath of Appin. Across the loch lay the vast lands of Dunraven, once a great fortress guarding Campbell lands from Appin country marauders, now merely one of Balcarden's many holdings. The steeply sloping hillside on the Dunraven side was green with heather and bracken. Sunlight dappled the rippling waters of the loch and bathed the earth with its healthy warmth. All around her, in the woods and out in the open, birds sang joyfully. The twittering of the last few weeks had turned into cheerful songs, for they had finished their squabbles over the best nesting sites and ownership of building materials, and were now busy hatching eggs or feeding nestlings. As Penelope crossed to the sandy cart track that ran to the crest of the hill from the path by the river, separating oaks, beech, holly and birch from the pine woods that spread over into the next glen, she heard a familiar voice call her name. Turning back, she saw her brother's familiar figure loping towards her from the grassy slope that separated Sheehan Towers from its vast acres of woodland. Beyond him, the castle's crenellated walls loomed on the horizon, and below the castle she could see 3 men in a sailboat putting out into the loch from the dock near the water gate. "I thought you might have come over today," Charles Lord MacCrichton shouted, as he crossed the burn in 2 long leaps from boulder to boulder. "I told himself I'd walk back so I could bear you company if you had. Did you run away from the brats, lass?" She smiled, waiting for him to come nearer before she said, "They're not brats, Chuff, and you are a villain to call them so." His eyes, singularly light in colour, with heavy dark lashes, crinkled at the corners when he chuckled. Reaching out to pull one of her thick golden braids, he said, "You look like a bairn yourself, lassie, with your hair all twisted in plaits." She shrugged. "I had them pinned up in ladylike coils before, but some of the pins fell out when I ran down the hillside, so I pulled out the rest." "And lost them all, I'll wager," Chuff said with a grin. "Well, some, but others I put in my pockets," she said, patting that part of her skirt beneath which the pocket lived.